Hey, it's Corey Knight with Classroom Tech Made Simple. We're going to take a look at Google Sheets, and so I'm going to add this to my Google Apps folder. Now, if you don't know what Google Sheets is used for, it is used for making spreadsheets and to enter different data points into clean charts, tables, things like that. You can add formulas for the numbers to be calculated automatically. It really is a 21st century skill that students will need to learn how to use, and I always try to utilize Google Sheets or even maybe Microsoft Excel, which is the Microsoft equivalent, or even if you have the paid version of Numbers, which is created by Apple, that is something that you can use too. But Google Sheets is completely free, and it is a very powerful tool that students will probably use in the future, no matter where they are and what job that they get later on in the future. So let's take a look at Google Sheets. Now you'll notice that this is about the same. All of the other Google apps, you'll notice that is a green banner across the top. It's still going to give you that work offline option. All of your recent sheets that you have created will be located at the bottom. You have the same options across the top. If you want to make sure that you are logged in with the correct account, you just click those three lines on the left hand side. You can check out your recent documents, the ones that are shared by you. You can look at the trash, the stuff that you've deleted. You can go to Google Drive and check out the settings. If you ever want to change that account, you just click that drop down tab, and I can click different accounts that I have associated with Gmail. To search through documents, you just click the eyeglass. This folder is directly linked to Google Drive. You can change it to a tiles view so that you can see a quick snapshot of the sheets that you've created. You can go back to the list view. And then A to Z just is one way that you can sort these. Okay, so Google Sheets is a very powerful tool. It is something that I think every student should know how to do, create spreadsheets in some way, even if it's just a simple spreadsheet. So I encourage all of you to incorporate Google Sheets or some other spreadsheet activity into your classroom. Okay, so just like all the other apps, we're going to click the red plus button down at the bottom. So first, let's take a look at the templates that are available. You can see that they have personal templates, to-do list, an annual budget. They have calendars that are already created, schedules, so students can create a schedule for their classes and maybe assignments. They can create travel planners. There's one specific for work, for invoices. There's business budgets, expense reports. And then you can see for teachers down at the bottom, there is an attendance template, a gradebook template, and even an assignment tracker. So feel free to check out any of those templates. Let's take a quick look at the Gradebook one, just so that you guys have an idea of what it looks like. So you can see right here that all of this stuff has come created, and all you have to do is edit this, and it will automatically track and average out grade distribution. You can change the grading system, the range for the different grades. And down here at the bottom, you'll notice that there are different tabs. This one is for grades for each student. And then you have individual reports as well. So that's something that you can take a look at so that you can track student data in your classroom. So let's go back and create our own spreadsheet, and we're just going to create a blank one. So I'm going to click the red New Spreadsheet button. I'm going to title this Classroom Tech Tutorial. I'm going to click Create. And you can see that this is a blank spreadsheet. There is nothing here. It's just different columns, different rows. If you want to edit this, you want to enter any data. Maybe we're going to enter some sort of information across here. So maybe I'm going to double click here and I'm going to enter some data right here. So I'll just click Data 1. You'll notice that that ribbon across the top is pretty much the same as Google Slides and Google Docs. It's just a way for you to either bold that text, you can underline it, and I can also change the text color. So maybe this is important. I'm going to make this red. Okay, you can also change the orientation of the text to center or to the right side. I'm going to make this to the center. You can make it go to the top of that cell, the middle of that cell, or the bottom. This button over here allows us to highlight that cell. So it's important to highlight cells. Maybe if you want to pinpoint a certain piece of data, you can highlight that cell. If you want to create borders, you can create borders around all of that. And you can see when I click off of that, it has created a border. So maybe I'm going to create a border around all of this. you can now see that it has created a border. And so when you print this off, or if you utilize this in whatever way, you can see, and it makes it a little bit more distinguishable among different data points. If I click this again, you can notice that I can change the border color. I can also create a different border style. Maybe I want a little bit thicker of a line so that you can see it, or even a dotted line, or even a double line. So they have different options for the borders for whatever you're creating. And that ribbon across the top allows you to make spreadsheets much quicker. If ever you need to add a cell anywhere, you can see the highlighted cells on the right hand side. So this one means that I'm going to add one to the bottom. This one means I'm going to add one to the top. This one means that I'm going to add one to the right or add one to the left. It's just one way that you can go through the different functions and utilize sheets very quickly. Okay, so say that you enter some data points here. So I entered some data here, just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now if you want to create some sort of formula, what you can do is you can just highlight by dragging this data down, and you can see at the bottom here it has already created some sort of function and formula for us. It has created the sum, the average, the max, the min, and there are other formulas that you can create. So if you click the sum button, you can see at the bottom there it has created the formula. It says equals sum A2, which is A is the column and 2 is the row, through A7, and it just added them all up. So that's one thing that you can do if you want to create some sort of data sheet or have your students create a data sheet. It's easily accessible for any student or for any teacher to use. Okay, next I want to show you that you can create charts from within Google Sheets. So once again, I'm going to highlight this data chart. And I'm going to go over here to the plus button. I'm going to click the plus button, and then I'm going to click chart. You can see that it has created a chart and a bar graph. I can create titles. Okay, if I want to create titles for this chart, I can create titles. I can change the color of the columns. I can do all kinds of things. And this is just with a quick, simple data set. You can definitely create assignments where students have to create bar graphs based on information and data that you give them. Or you can have students reach out and find data themselves and create some sort of bar graph. Maybe in science or math. I know that I've had students track rainfall for certain cities and compare them with other cities. Maybe in social studies you could talk about economies and money and things like that. There's all kinds of options that you can utilize Google Sheets by creating these charts and these bar graphs. Because let's be serious, someday in the near future, when those students are at a job themselves, their boss will never ask them to create a bar graph by using chart paper, a ruler, a pencil, colored pencils. No, they're going to ask them to utilize Google Sheets, Excel, or Numbers, or some other spreadsheet. So that is one of the reasons why I like to incorporate Google Sheets into my classroom, and I encourage you to do the same. So now if I want to add this chart, I just click a check mark, and you can see that it adds it in there. So it's added that chart in there, and I can actually move that chart around, and I can resize it, and I can move it around to a different part of the spreadsheet. Now obviously you can create titles, keys, all that stuff, but this is just for tutorial purposes to give you a head start and give you an idea how to do this. Okay, so there are a few more things that I'd like to share with you. One thing I want to share with you is that if you click on two cells, there might be a time where you want to merge two cells together. And how you do that is you go over here to the capital A with the 4 lines, and it's going to give you the basic text tools that are across the ribbon across the top. You might want to change the size of the text, but all those options are going to be there. But if you go over to cell, you can see that the fill color, the borders, you can wrap the text. But if you see where it says merge cells, you click that on and it will merge those cells together. So you can see over here now that it has broke those apart and it has merged those cells together. It's just another option that you can do and utilize creating different charts. Okay, so just remember that all those options and different cell options and text options are available with the capital A with those 4 lines right next to it. If you click those 3 dots, it's going to be all the information based on that sheet that we have just created. If any comments were added, you can click View Comments. If you want to find and replace a specific piece of text, you can click that. This new Explore button is something that has just been added, and it can give you insights based on different pieces of information. It's going to give you suggestions. So one thing that I can do, if I click and highlight this data, and I'm going to click Explore, you can see that it has also created a chart that way. So that is a quick way to add a chart. And I can see at the bottom here that there are 2 dots. That means there are 2 pages on this. So I'm going to slide over, and it can add that data into a pie chart. And that's something that I can add by hitting this plus button into this as well. So you can see that if I had a pie chart with different data points, you can see that I can easily add that as well. I'm going to hit the back button. Going back to those 3 dots, another thing I like to always share is the share and export button. Make sure that you understand that if you would like to add people to be able to edit your spreadsheet, you just click the add people button, and you can add those people by their email addresses and give them certain access. Either they can edit, comment, or view, just like we talked about in the other tutorials. So that's one option. Back to the share and export. You can send a copy, you can print this, you can save it as an Excel file, which is your basic Microsoft Excel file. You can make a copy or copy that link to a clipboard. So that's something that's always going to be beneficial to you is to understand how to share this. If you'd like to access this from a desktop, you could just go through Google and just type in Google Sheets and pull it up and sign in, and you'll be able to access this from a desktop. Okay, now that we're completed with this, we're going to go ahead and click the check mark. And I'm going to go back, and you can see that it is modified, and you can see right here where all of my sheets are that I've created with Google Sheets. Okay, so that is the basic function of Google Sheets. If you have any questions or you are wanting to learn a little bit more about it, feel free to contact me at Corey@classroomtechmadesimple.com. We'll see you guys next video.